Folks, what's going on? We're back after a brief hiatus, a couple weeks of no pod, which I apologize for. It's not my fault. I was held captive in an Israeli prison cell. I was taken as a prisoner of war in the Israeli-Hamas conflict because I was seen to have expressed overly sympathetic sentiment to the Palestinian cause when a couple of weeks ago, after Italy played France, before Italy played Israel, I said that my stance on that whole conflict would be contingent on the results of the Azzurri in that international break window. I said that if France kicked our ass, then I would have to go full pro-IDF just to, out of honor for my people, upset the French, since I thought that would upset more people on their team. But in the same sentence, I also said that if the result against Israel was not favorable, and if we failed to beat them, which is really, the only thing that we had to do in that game was beat them. And we did. It was a nice game. It's kind of, it's passé now. It's kind of like almost been 2 weeks since that game's taken place. I don't know if we're going to go into depth there, but we wound up winning the game, but that's not the point. Before the game started, I said, if we don't win, if we fail to beat them, then I'm going to have no choice but to come out and besmirch them, besmirch their people, besmirch their government, and I'm going to have to become publicly pro-Palestinian just in honor of my, hypothetically, in this hypothetical example, my defaced people's honor, in defense of my, out of duty to my now, to the honor of my people, my Italian people, which would have been besmirched in the event that we would have failed to beat Israel. So again, we wound up beating them. Great. All's well. Italian national team's actually looking okay right now. But that's not the point. Me simply saying that was enough for the Israeli government, who are everywhere, all around us, at all times, constantly. It was enough for the Israeli government to step in and say, we're going to take you in for questioning. You're liable. You're a liability. That's the word they used, not liable. They said you're a liability. Because the fact that you could be bought off, persuaded, which you said publicly, that's concerning. We don't want you to get, we don't want you on this massive platform talking about the other side and how they have a point. We want you in our camp. So they took me in and they threatened me and they held me captive for 2 straight weeks, and they wouldn't let me see the light of day, and they forced me to befriend a Jew, Josh Shapiro, who's a local comedian who runs Third Floor Comedy Club, where I regularly get up and work out ideas and so on. And I've had to befriend him, and you cannot trust these people. You cannot trust these Jews. Yesterday on a podcast with another fellow local comedian, he went out and sandbagged me. He talked about how he caught me spitting in the staircase on the way up to the comedy club. I had a loogie, and there were people at the top floor, and I had a choice to make. I could either swallow it or I could spit, because I was going to speak to them. And I chose the spit option. I was caught red-handed, and it was kind of a candid moment. It wasn't a proud moment. And I said, yeah, that was a bad move. And I thought that would be it. And he came on a podcast and publicly said, Sam's disgusting. Sam spat in public. That's these Jews. You cannot trust them. But, despite that, I've had to befriend them, on orders of the Israeli government. It's what they instructed. And, but now I'm free. I'm free to come back on the podcast and talk about important matters like Daniele De Rossi's firing at Roma. They sent me home with a pager. And they said, take this, and it's we made it ourselves. And if ever you have any questions, you can give us a call. Here's our number. But if ever you want to, they gave me a few pagers. They gave me one for myself, and they gave a few for me to distribute among, the powerful brass of Italian football that I regularly rub shoulders with. Because they said, well, listen, you obviously have a massive platform talking about Italian football. It's the best It's the best, whether people know it or not, it's the best platform that exists that discusses Italian football in English and Italian culture at large that is the most honest. That's what the Israeli government said. These people have information about everything. You understand? The Israeli government is all knowing. Okay? Mossad knows everything. They know, they know, they know what you're jerking off to. They know where Hezbollah is. They know where the best place to find Italian football news is. And sociocultural analysis surrounding that. They know it's here. And so they said, well, you've obviously got a great platform, sir. And so you're probably going to go watch the Italy-Israel game in Udine in a few short weeks. That's taking place in the return leg in the Nations League. Because a man is, with as great a platform as yours, naturally, we would assume is covering, these events. So when you're there, you're very charming. You're probably going to rub shoulders with the other people, in the Italian football community. Members of the Italian Football Federation. Here are these pagers. Distribute them among all your friends, and that way you could have easy access to them. They gave me one. They said the next time you go to New York, give this to the Italia brothers, who run the stand. Chris Italia has been on the pod a handful of times because he's a big football fan. They said they said when you go there, give him one. When you go to Toronto, give him to the Italian content creators that you kind of rub shoulders with over there. Give them around, give them out around the Italian neighborhoods here. Just when you want to have access, if maybe people that you want to have as guests on the pod, you could just give them a pager and then you could just page them. That's what the Israeli government told me. They said if you want to just page these people, they'll know, okay, it's like the bat signal. Come on the pod. They're trying to help me, right? They're trying to help me is what they told me. And they're trying to make it easier for me to just communicate with people that that are part of like the universe of this podcast. And one of the things they actually said was, well, listen, when you inevitably go to Udine to watch that game, because we assume that someone with a platform as great as yours on Italian football, right? Someone with as great a platform as you have on Italian football is probably going to be going to cover this game. So, hey, maybe you'll want to just rub shoulders with some people over there that could be interesting, people to have in your Rolodex. Give them a pager, so you could just give them a ring, once in a while. Just give them a little beep, just so they think about you, so they remember, oh yeah, there's that wop in Montreal who he's around, he exists. Just remind them that you exist. That's what the Israeli government told me. They said here, when you go to that game, Italy-Israel, do that, and give it to all the give it out to the ultra leaders in the northeast of Italy, who will definitely be in that stadium, who are going to be present on site. And they said, well, it's very important if you cover Italian football that you rub shoulders with all the people and all across all sort of facets of Italian society. And one of those people are the people that like La Lega Nord, the Northern League, and the far right parties in Italy, especially in the north, in Veneto and in Friuli, which is where Udine is, which is where Italy will be playing Israel in a few weeks. You, son, since you have such a great, platform, you're going to want to rub shoulders with everyone that's anything, right, in Italian football. And that includes ultra leaders, local people on the ground. Give them pagers. Now, these people happen to be they don't like Jews, generally. Now, that's neither here nor there. In that it doesn't affect, I don't base my opinion on any people based on, what people in Italy think ever, because I think Italian people broadly don't have any idea what's going on in the world. Much like I don't let most, the average American tell me how to live or what I should focus on, right? Sometimes I'll go up and do stand-up and I'll try material out and it goes over people's heads. And it's like, yeah, all right, cool. Enjoy the McRib when it comes back. You know what I'm saying? Italy's got the same thing. It's, all they focus on is football and the right way to make a pizza. That's the bread and circus that they're kind of focused on. And it's what keeps Italy, it's what keeps Italy broadly, just as a culture, as a people. It's what keeps them kind of, from really ever fully taken off. I mean, they've had a real, a boom in industrialization since Meloni took over, is what I'm reading. I don't know. That's what people who apparently are economists are writing. That's the shit I'm reading. Those are headlines I'm reading, really. I'm not reading full articles. I mean, I'm not a fucking, not a Rhodes Scholar over here, but I'm reading headlines and I'm like, oh, okay, uptick, couple percent, great. But it'll never get that, it'll never get beyond that. It'll always be kind of, held back by Italian culture at large, which focuses mostly on football, mostly on food, mostly on looking good and on doing nothing. Like almost professionally. Like procrastinating, complaining while you sit around and smoke instead of doing a thing. God forbid you start something. Then the ones that do own football teams. You understand? So it's just a cyclical thing. Even the ones that are the most, even the people in Italy, the men that are the most, the men and women that are the most, well, mostly men, historically, but the men that are the most, that have the most get up, that'll decide, hey, let's go do something. Let's create something. Let's go start a business. Let's try to become a tycoon. I want to become a tycoon, and now I've done it. Great. What do? They just go back and buy football teams, the thing that distracts the rest of Italian society. So, I'm all over the map here, as per. But the point is, that's where I've been. That's where I've been. The Israelis and I made peace. We're good. We're on good terms. I think they trust me. They said, take this pager, give it to every Italian person out there, and good luck in the game against us in Udine, and yeah, I mean that's what they said. That is what they said, and that was a fun game. That was a fun game against Israel. Davide Fratesi's a good little player when he doesn't have to play too far up the pitch. I've enjoyed him over the past little while. It's nice that Luciano Spalletti finally seemed to have gotten, maybe with the pressure of a tournament off, and now with a little bit of breathing room before he has to immediately qualify for another tournament. He seems to have created a more positive environment for the young players that he's trying to get into the system, and the fact that he's doing that is good. That makes me happy. For a while, the only thing I had to like about him was the fact that he talked about and acknowledged the fact that there were Italians abroad who liked the Italian national team. That was his thing. That's what everyone abroad was happy about. That's what Italians in Germany, Italians abroad like Italy a little too much broadly. The reason why this podcast is probably even able to exist and get any, as humble a listenership as it is, the reason it's able to get any level of listenership at all is because of the fact that, it's people that are generally, mostly, I think this is entertaining for anyone, to be honest, but it seems to find people that have an Italian background that speak English or understand English in some capacity. That's what my stats tell me. So people, those people kind of have a very simplistic, approach to, because, to how they view Italy. They have a very simplistic approach because they don't live in Italy. They don't live there. They don't see the shit. The shit is seen as kind of, endearing, charming. Seriously, it's not hated. Like in Italy, if you go back and visit and talk to people that live there, family of yours or just random locals, there's a lot of vitriol for how societies run. And we're not doing anything about it, but we're just critiquing. We're socially critiquing here. There's a lot of that going on. But if you're, Italian abroad, you do less of that. It's seen as charming. How the whole country shuts down for a month, We're September now? The country is only just kind of still opening back up. Now they got Le Feste, fucking a lot of these towns are just having these these end of summer festivals that have been kind of ongoing for a month. Just festivities generally. Just it was Ferragosto, it's the month of August, we shut down business. All right, well now we got some, we got a couple of weeks of more festivities now. There's a lot of, it's celebratory, it's cute, it's quaint, it's a little bit, it's a little bit fun abroad when you live in an industrial hell like Germany, for example, where a lot of Italians migrated to. There's actually like a whole cohort. There's a whole wing of Italian content creators in Germany that just make like really cringy pro-Italian shit all the time. There's a fucking spider on the table here, flicking it off. It's the only person accompanying me right now. I'm totally solo. Yeah, Dilo's probably not coming back on really anytime soon. If he wants to, he's welcome to, but we're kind of rolling without him for the time being. I mean, if you guys have listened to the pod for a while, you guys have known that he hasn't really been on for a few months. He started working and it's kind of it's kind of done. I mean, but he's great. Love him very much. I think, he'll probably come back on at some point, and, maybe at some point we'll get back into a flow of him coming on. But until then, it's going to have to be, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be guesser. It's going to be just solo rants like this. But, look, so I really am all over the map here. Oh, right, yeah. So Spalletti, Luciano Spalletti kind of coming out and saying, yeah, well, Italians abroad are important to me. That garnered a lot of favor because the people outside of Italy that like the Italian national team really give a shit. Like, they really, really give a shit. And, that only goes so far. The tournament didn't go well, and to be honest, Spalletti should never have been appealing to those people. Appeasing to those people, I should say. Spalletti should have never been appeasing to those people. Truly. Like, fuck them. There's Italian Americans out there. I know some of you guys are listening to this podcast are Italian American, but fuck, man. Like, if you've never heard a Winston Churchill speech and you're listening to this and you're just, you're getting rah-rah, getting fired up thinking, yeah, we're the best. Go away. This isn't for you. And I get that I post the pod link in like fucking Facebook groups just of Italian retards. And if you've made it like 15 minutes into this episode and you're from one of those links, welcome, motherfucker. I mean, read a book, I don't know what you're doing in that fucking, if you made it 15 minutes into this episode and you're fucking chilling in one of those Italian groups like Italian Blood, American Born, which is a group that I think exists, if I recall correctly, that I have posted in, and we'll probably post a link to this in, and I'm going to try to bait everyone in by talking about Daniele De Rossi in the title. If you've made it 15 minutes in, congratulations. You're probably semi-literate, so good for you. I appreciate it. I don't know what you're doing on fucking Facebook, but yeah, to the people who are tuning in on YouTube, who are just finding this randomly and have decided to keep tuning in for 15 minutes and you haven't fucking immediately tuned out after 5 seconds like some of you do, welcome, congrats, welcome to the show. Congrats on having your mind opened up. But Luciano Spalletti should not be trying to appease Italian Americans. Because fuck them. Fuck these people. I mean, like, broadly, the people that kind of, I get that there's a lot of people that kind of just like turning on the Italian national team in the summer when the team is playing a game and they just work. They're a lawyer and their whole identity is not being Italian. That is some people's thing. I'm dangerously close to that, by the way. I'm dangerously close, but like the one reason why I'm able to live with myself is because I'm kind of aware of, I could play both sides, I could switch codes, and this isn't to suck my own dick here, but I could play both sides. I speak the language quite well. Not perfectly, but I speak it quite well. Better than you. Like, whoever you are listening to this, like, there's a good chance, and again, this is, like, I don't know if this... It's not even a fucking brag. If I'm upsetting you saying this, I'm sorry. Maybe this makes you fucking respect me more. But like, scusa, ma se lo dovessi fare, io sono capace di parlare in italiano. Io posso fare un argomento di natura politica se lo dovessi fare. Like, there, boom. That's a sentence that just off the dome, which whatever. It's not, I'm not the most eloquent, but in any given language I speak, I'm a little over the map all the fucking time. So neither really here nor there. I'm kind of the same in Italian as I am in any other language. But the point is, what I just did is more than many of the people that are listening to this could probably do. So fine, I can play both sides. I have gone back regularly. I will continue to do so. And I love just observing what's going on over there. And just kind of, appreciating the insanity of it. And I feel like there are people that listen to this that are probably kind of like, you're screaming at your phone right now saying, no, I'm the same as you. In which case, great. You should be listening to this. And you're who this is for. And if there are other people that are like you, like us, please send it to them because this is like the best pod ever for those people. It's just nobody fucking knows about it. Now, having sucked my own dick a little bit here, okay, I understand still, that notwithstanding, okay, that I am still a person who's a little dangerously close to being a little too Italy's my identity. I understand that. But for some of these people, okay, in North America, it's like really weird. Like, it's really fucking odd because it's so diluted. And again, it's that whole thing that everyone knows about, that they're several generations removed from immigration, which is fine. A culture exists in a vacuum now, and it's a culture they identify with. Okay, fine, no problem. But here's the problem, okay? Here's the problem. There are podcasts that get more listen, and I would go on these podcasts if invited, okay? Because fuck it, they'll never listen to this. And if they do, I mean, whatever. This is how I feel. I don't really, give a shit. I'm sure they're not bad guys. But it's a little bit, I can't personally listen to a pod where an Italian-American person is brought on and they go, you're Italian, you do this, how you doing, what does being Italian mean to you? And it's like, I don't fucking know. It means hell. It means it's hell. I'm consuming, like, being Italian to me is like watching a guy in Naples who does, like, used car sales, scoot in a Mercedes hatchback and get out wearing a pair of Nike Air Max TNs, screaming at his son wearing a bandana. There's this guy named Pasquale Manni Auto. What the fuck? I think he went private on all social media because people like me, just people hate watch him, I guess. And, maybe there was a fear that maybe people were fucking, I don't know, if people were getting on TikTok and stitching his shit. And I don't know if he couldn't take the heat. What's his name? Pasquale Auto Fratelli Manna. I gotta find a clip of this guy. I've got to find a clip of him somewhere. But to me, this is what being Italian is. This is what Italy is to me, okay? Here we go. I think he's private on all social media now, so I'm hoping that, yeah, this video is private. This motherfucker, dude, this fucking guy posts on the internet, and then when he gets attention, which is what he should be doing, he goes private. So fewer people can see his business. Italians can't fucking do business, a lot of these fucking people. He had a good thing going. Here we go. Is this it? Is this it? How the fuck do I turn the sound on this thing? Nissan Qashqai 1500 €6.000. This is tame. This is tame. Now, okay, I don't even know if I'm going to overlay that clip. Basically, this guy, Pasquale Manna, is like this dude in Naples who runs fucking out of a car. He skirts he skirts into the frame, right? Jumps out of the car, runs around it, and his son starts going, oh mio Dio, oh mio Dio. And he's like, le vuoi sapere il prezzo, le vuoi sapere? That's the best imitation I could do. He's basically an ultra leader who's 5'4" tall, who, wears like big chunky Nike sneakers with matching Nike calf socks that go kind of just up the ankle, just a little bit up the ankle with like baggy shorts. One of those guys, whatever. Sunglasses on all the time. That's what being Italian is to me. Okay, it's not the fish on New Year's Eve. Yeah, all right. The Balkans do that too. I'm gonna pull this clip up here. I'm gonna pull a very important thing up here that I can't fucking get out of my head here. God damn, I have to find this thing. It's from the Growing Up Italian podcast, which again is a pod that I do not personally listen to because I can't do it. But I'm sure they're good guys. I'm sure they're fine. They seem to work hard. They have a good thing going. But it's not for who my shit is for. Generally, I think, and like I'm fucking, Italy to me is watching football, and the mascot at Cagliari last week goes under the curva to take a licking to, or to take a talking to. He takes his licking from the fucking the fans. Cagliari have had a bad start to the season, so the players have to go over and salute the fans behind the net, and the mascot goes over and he stands there looking all solemn as well. Like that's the kind of insanity that I like and I enjoy. I don't listen to Italian rap and just go, yeah, beat. I like to kind of tune into what they're saying because it makes me laugh. Like Tony Effe and Fedez, two rappers in Italy, are having a beef right now, and they're not, basically Tony's saying, Tony's saying you're gay and Fedez is saying you're stupid. That's the beef summed up in a sentence. Okay. That's the encapsulation of that entire issue. Is one of them says you're gay. Okay. Tony's from Rome and he has a neck tattoo. And he goes to the gym. Actually, Fedez has a neck tattoo also. That's not really a moot point. I'm trying to paint a picture based on the image of the guy. The neck tattoo is kind of not really relevant because they both have them. Tony Effe is a guy who's an idiot. He says like and bro a lot, okay? It's actually a thing that Fedez made fun of him for, and I think one of the songs that he put out, okay, in response to some freestyle that Tony Effe put out a few days ago. Fedez goes, you're probably going to hear this and say, tipo cioè, like It's like basically, it's like literally, it's like, bro, it's kind of that same energy, okay? Tony Effe is not a very literate guy. His lyrics aren't great. Fedez is very smart, and he's basically saying, well, smart. He's intelligent. He's well-read. He's well, I don't know if he's well-read, actually. He could be a moron, but like in terms of fucking, foreign policy and all that shit, but he could speak. Clearly, like that's this, I don't know how that happens. I don't know why that happens. I don't know if he was, I don't know if he was privately schooled or whatever, or educated, whatever the fucking word is. But it could just be, I think Fedez actually didn't come from a very affluent background. It's just some people have a brain where they could speak and they can convey their thoughts through language well. Tony Effe can. His songs slap, but it's basically esco dal club con sette tottis faccio coca. It's very primitive, okay? But nonetheless, okay? Nonetheless, like, just for example, actually for context, okay, I read the fucking lyrics of both of their diss tracks. I have an easier time understanding everything Tony Effe is saying. Fedez is a little more, a little more wordy. There's more poetry at play. Not to use that word, and sound pretentious, but it's kind of what it is, Though it's just a little more wordy. It's a little more sophisticated, I guess. Now, again, I'm able to kind of distinguish between these things, right? And I listen to, I don't just listen to Italian rap and go, yeah, this is a guy clearly speaking Italian, but the beat slaps, so I'm going to bump this in the car. That's what a lot of Italians abroad do. That's fine. I went to the Capo Plaza fucking concert last year in Montreal. Then I went to the Fedez Basta concert as well. I don't know why. I punished myself. I felt I had to. I had FOMO. I wanted to see what was going on. The people there, completely brain dead. None of them know none of them know the lyrics, and that's fine. That's fine. They know the songs and they know the fucking melodies because they've heard them before. But, the meaning of the songs is lost on people. And calling it meaning is, these aren't, these guys aren't, they make hits. Let's put it that way, okay? That sound nice. Sonically pleasant. But, a lot of people fucking just listen to music from Italy and go, yeah, it's nice. It's fucking slaps. I like listening to it and laughing because Tony Effe in one of his fucking songs that he dissed Fedez in is talking about, like, when you have pizza, literally, he's like, ti prendi la pizza, ba 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 ba. Like, if you go out for a pizza, this happens. Like, the way that they, I enjoy the fact that the way they convey any idea is often in a way that you would expect them to. Like, even rappers who are kind of trying to be gangster, like, oh, I fucked this bitch and I fucked your bitch and you're a bad dude. Like, whatever accusations they're levying. Like, the literary tools they use in the music invokes food a lot of the time. So I enjoy that, And it's torture, I wish I were dumber. I wish I were stupider sometimes. I wish I knew less. And I could just say, bro, this fucking slaps. That was me when I was younger. And now I understand this Fedez Basta kind of, I understand that it's primitive. I don't care. It sounds nice. I still like listening to it. But I don't, I don't have any, like, false illusions about what I'm listening to. Where the fuck is this link? This is a link from the Growing Up Italian podcast. Here we go. This is a clip on the Growing Up Italian podcast of Lisa Ann, porn star, adult actress Lisa Ann, talking about growing up Italian on the Growing Up Italian podcast, which I will go on if they invite me. They never will. But, and they'll never see this. And if they do, hi. Big fan of your work rate and the production value and some of the people you managed to get on. Great hustle, truly. I said I've never listened to them before. I said, if I did say that, it's wrong. I don't listen to them regularly. I have tried out of curiosity to I peer in and I watch when they have a rapper on. I want to hear how the rapper speaks in English. You understand? So they're doing stuff, all right? They have good gets, but they're fucking it up. But again, they're getting people on that, I guess they're not fucking it up. I mean, how in-depth are you going to get with Lisa Ann? You know what I'm saying? Like, her only field of expertise is, is getting her ass eaten, right? So here we go. Lisa Ann.
Because there's so many cultural things in the Italian family that people don't realize. Like, we weren't to dye our hair. Don't dye or change your hair. Right. Always long hair. Always long hair. If the sun lightens it, it's okay, but then there's a time where it gets too light and your parents would say to you, you need to get your hair fixed because you don't look Italian. Makeup was a big thing. Makeup was a really big thing. Italians don't want their daughter wearing makeup till a certain age. I used to go to the bus stop every day and put all my makeup on. and then on the bus home, take all my makeup off. You know, those things like manners. In the Italian culture, no one is going to pick you up at your house without your parents fucking looking them in the eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's disrespectful, like if you're gonna pick someone up that you don't, and like the parents see you.
If you don't get out of the car, my dad would be like, drive on. Nope, you're not
Yeah,
getting in the car.
this is a decent thing to do on a date. It's not a specifically Italian thing, you know, but okay. So you couldn't lighten your hair. If your hair got too light, you don't look Italian enough. No makeup. Makeup is for whores. Okay, great. Got it. If someone's going to pick you up, he's got to come to the fucking house door so your father could look at him in the eye. You know what else is banned or not? You know what else is frowned upon in the Italian-American culture is fucking black guys. So it's kind of like, what's the point here? What's the angle? What's Lisa Ann's angle here? Is she, talking about how these were all endearing things that she had to go through growing up? How her father didn't want her to wear makeup? Or is this more of a social commentary? If it's a social commentary on Italian-American culture and her Italian-American upbringing and how, she has, because it does sound like she's a fan of it. She's talking about it with a twinkle in her eye almost. But she also committed the biggest cardinal sin that you could commit in that community, which is you get with, as Tony Soprano would say, a charcoal briquette. You know what the fucking worst thing you could do is, you don't look Italian, your hair's too light. The worst thing you could do, according to some Italian-American people, is procreate with a black guy, and now your kid doesn't even look Italian. Hey, how about that, huh? How about that? It's like, yeah, all right, well observed, but she's clearly broken all of these rules. Does that make her a bad guy? I'm not even saying it's a problem that she's fucking black guys. Maybe doing it on camera is, a little bit much, but, and what I love about this is you've got this guy, this big Italian dude who's kind of laughing along like, hey, yeah, that is us. Yeah, I'm the same way with my daughter. Yeah, you're a good girl. You're an Italian girl. I hope my daughter grows up to be like you. It's like, so Luciano Spalletti, don't appease these people. There are people that are fucking tuning in. The comments on this video are like, nice, you got to get Stallone on someday. You got to get Stallone on next. Like, mates, bro, Stallone, I want to get fucking, I would love to get like a fucking like a neo-fascist from the Roma Curva on. That's like my ideal guest. I think like people that listen to this would love it if I could get someone like that on. If I could get Jesus, I don't know. The ideal guest for me is that guy Pasquale Manna who gets out of cars and screams at people and goes, "E vuoi sapere un prezzo?" Like, the ideal guest for me is Luigi Laudo. I'm gonna sit down and just pick Luigi Laudo's brain on how to wear linen pants. Like, so I don't know. But I'm old school maybe. I don't. Bro, me, I don't want. Me personally, I don't want. I'm not too interested in women that are selling sex on the pod. It's just, if that's your product, God bless you. It's just not. What am I gonna learn from you? It's like, go on this podcast because I guess you're Italian. Apparently Lisa Ann is Italian. I guess that's not her name. Maybe it is. I don't fucking know. I guess you're Italian, right? So come on the pod and talk about it. And you're famous, so people will listen. I guess people want to hear what you have to say. It's like, well, no, I want to hear what a barber in Italy has to say. I just want to hear about like a barber from Italy air his grievances about about his clientele. That's what I'm into, So. Daniele De Rossi was fired by Roma. What the fuck is going on, man? What the fuck is going on there? I mean, I don't even care. I'm not a Roma fan, okay? But, I grew up watching Daniele De Rossi, and he's a good guy. He's a good man. I met him. I met him in Montreal because I wanted to get a jersey of his signed. And he was very, you could tell that he gives a shit. You could tell he gives a shit about everything. Everything he was doing was an honor to him, to represent his city and his people. And, that's kind of what it ultimately comes down to. Italian culture can be boiled down to just representing where you're from. That's it. Now, again, that sounds very simplistic, but I mean specifically like the town you're from or the area you're from. That's not, it's not different to human nature, I guess, in pretty much any area. But you see it a lot in Italy, like just, you're a son of this city, and you're one of our own. That's kind of a thing you'll see a lot, right? You're from this area, you play for this team. Bravo, chapeau. So Daniele De Rossi got hired after Jose Mourinho got fired last year. Had a very good second half of last season. Gets a contract extension of 3 years. 3 fucking year contract extension. Till 2027. He's getting paid for 3 more seasons regardless. And after 4 games, his team have lost 1 game and tied 3. One of them to Juventus, 0-0. Fired. Fired because he's gone winless in 4 games. Not 4 losses. 3 draws out of 4 fucking games. Like Juve won a title, I think, in 2015, 16? When they were in like a relegation spot a couple games into the season. Like, it can happen. And Roma's director fired him. The person in charge. Who the fuck? Like, this has got to be upsetting. I actually get this. I actually get this, like, kind of protectionist idea. This protectionist attitude that a lot of Italian football fans have about their team. I do get it. Because you really want the custodian of your club to understand what they're buying. You want them to understand what they're owning. Roma's owned by an American guy named Dan Friedkin. I think he owns about 95% of the club. The director of the club is a lady who I'd never heard of. I had to look her up, okay? Her name is Lina Sulodakis. Or something to that effect. Suluku. Sorry. Lina Suluku. Lina Suluku. A career suit. A career football suit. Runs Roma. Okay? The biggest club, I think, in the most important, the most historical city in the world, has decided to fire a club legend who's been doing good work as a coach, great work as a fucking manager, because they had a bad summer together, I guess. Like, they didn't have a good working relationship. And I don't want to go full, like, union leader on you guys here, but like, the fans don't give a shit about this woman, okay? They would have her head on a spit right now, okay? They would roast, they would have her on a stake and get rid of her, okay? If they could. They would dump her in the fucking Tiber River if they could. They don't give a shit about her. She does not matter. She's just a shot caller who reads the balance sheet. That's all she is. She's fucking replaceable. Daniele De Rossi's not replaceable. I don't want to get too sentimental on you guys here, okay? Because I understand that it's not, like, it's possible that a club legend just not be the guy. It's possible. Daniele De Rossi's been nothing but great since he started coaching. Like, he's a young coach who's 40 years old. He took his courses. He went to Serie B first, had a bit of a tough go of it. But since he's been in Serie A, at the club that he gives the most shit about, he's done well. He's done fine. He won the Euro with Italy. Okay? The players love him. It's come out that Lorenzo Pellegrini and Gianluca Mancini, the 2 captains of the club, when they caught wind of the fact they were going to ken him, when they caught wind of the fact that they were going to fire him, escalated it and said, "What the fuck are you doing? We don't want this." And they fired him anyway. Because Roma handled the Paulo Dybala's situation like shit in the summer. And this is where, by the way, this is where fans kind of need to, this is where fans don't get it. This is where fans are stupid. Like, most of the time, you need to sell your best player. Like, almost all the time. Why? Because, like, his value in the marketplace is just fucking almost always more than he's worth to the team. If you just take the money and you invest it intelligently, you'll reap benefits of it. If you have a system that you want to play, you have a good coach who knows how he wants to play, you have a good project in place, you know he's going to be there for a few years, and you say, hey, for the next few years, let's be competitive playing the way that this coach wants to play. Let's go out and buy the players that help this guy's system. Paulo Dybala doesn't do that with Roma now, okay? Or at least it didn't. Paulo Dybala's presidents didn't do that, with Daniele De Rossi. It's a weird thing with Dybala where, like, no one really knows if he should play out wide or up the front, but, a guy like, like a more creative guy like Tommaso Baldanzi, who kind of comes back a little deeper in midfield, is kind of a little bit more well-suited, I think, to that team. Just for example, like, going forward right now. Maybe as a winger, as a wider guy. Seems to me anyway. I don't know. Kind of a little bit more of a modern hybrid player. And so there was no reason to keep him. They should have fucking offloaded him. They would have, saved a lot of money on the books. And Dybala himself actually refused to. Then the fans embrace him and say, well, this is great. This is great news. We love him. And I get it. Like, having Paulo Dybala in your team is a vibe. He looks like a kid. He's got a ton of Instagram followers. He scores goals. He's iconic. You know, he's a cultural figure. He's a prominent cultural figure that Italian rappers will, use in their lyrics. So, like, it's just cool for morale to have him in your team. You know what I'm saying? When you hate Lazio, okay? When you're Roma and you hate Lazio and they're fucking talking about, like, bringing in, like, Mason Greenwood, maybe, like a guy who was, who's on video kind of raping his girlfriend, and the fans were like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. It's like, or, they're bringing in fucking, I don't know. They're going to bring back Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, the Serbian guy who's been in Saudi Arabia for a year. Like, these are the players that were linked to this past summer, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really cool if you're a Roma fan to be like, okay, our biggest rival don't have a fucking clue. We're like a PR machine. They're a PR nightmare. Those guys are dogs. Lazio are animals. Us, I mean, we're fucking, we're a little more refined. Look at us. We got Paulo Dybala. He's a global star. It feels good, if you're a fan of that team, to have him in the side. Still wasn't ideal that he was there. Management should have, done a better job, I think, to probably get rid of him there. I don't even know what the riff was. I don't know if De Rossi wanted him or didn't. My feeling is that De Rossi probably said, listen, I have no use for the guy, even though he liked him. I don't know if that's true. The info's probably available out there somewhere, and I could probably find it. But, it's not the point, okay? Like, the intricacies of this exact case don't matter. The point is, in the summer, this lady, Lina Suluku. Okay, Lina Suluku. Sounds African. When I heard her name, when I read it on paper, I was kind of praying it wasn't like a guy from Cameroon, which is what the name sounds like. And I was very happy to see it was a Greek later, because I'm allowed to make fun of them because we're kind of the same. This lady just runs Roma. I don't know how long she's even been there, by the way. I don't fucking have a clue how long she's been at the club. Her LinkedIn, I'm on her LinkedIn page right now. It's not updated. Her LinkedIn page still says that she works for the European Club Association, where she's apparently been since October 2019. Prior to that, she was a UEFA Social Dialogue Committee member. No, she is currently, at least according to this, whatever the fuck that means. She worked for Olympiacos for 6 years prior to that. She got a sport management degree at some point, like 20 years ago. She was a lawyer, got a sport management degree. So she's a lady who decided she likes sports. Apparently she was a volleyball player. Okay, so she likes sports, doesn't know anything about football, at least, at a professional level. Right? Never played, wasn't involved in the game, doesn't know anything about Italy. Okay? Doesn't. Sorry. Like, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to, but it's good to. It's good to have an idea who your fans are, and it's good to have an idea, who your stakeholders are. Your stakeholders are the fucking fans. The fact that this lady's able to just come over the top and end the Daniele De Rossi back at Roma story feels so weird and, like, twisted. Right? Because if anyone is given the fucking opportunity to keep her or keep him, we're keeping him 100% of the time. He gets more leeway because of two reasons. One, he's a legend. Two, things have gone well so far, right? Up until this point, things have overall been pretty positive. Thirdly, most importantly, he doesn't have bad ideas, and the players like him. So now he's going to want to fucking manage another club. Like, where is he going to go now? You know what I'm saying? Like, the only place, if you've played for Roma your whole career, if you're a guy who's like as entrenched in the culture of a club as Daniele De Rossi is at Roma, your options are kind of limited. Like, yes, it's okay for him to go manage Genoa, for example. But, like, it feels weird, right? It almost feels like the path for him is to be a lifelong coach of Roma for 15 years. That would have been a nice story. It could have been. You have to build a level of trust. You got to build a sporting project around a fucking guy. So this Greek lady who has no clue, I presume she doesn't have a clue about what she's doing and the value of it. In her mind, she's like, oh, listen, we got to be cutthroat. Fuck this guy. We're going with Ivan Juric. I like him. He's from Macedonia or Croatia, wherever the fuck he's from. I like him. I'm Greek, and we have an affinity with these Balkan people. I trust him. He knows Italy. He's boring. He won't cause problems. Perfect. It's like, hey, man, that's kind of... You're never gonna fucking scale up your brand, okay? And you're never gonna scale up your football with Ivan Juric. You're not gonna win anything with him. You're not gonna win anything with a guy who's been managing like middling clubs for a reason. He's not a bad coach, but Daniele De Rossi is a younger coach who played with a couple of the guys that are currently on the team. Like, the value to that is immeasurable, and it just feels wrong. It feels like this lady shouldn't have the right to do what she did without like a shareholder vote or something. So now, by the way, I think Totti had like. Granted, Totti's not as smart as De Rossi. De Rossi is a little bit more worldly than De Rossi. De Rossi's more worldly than Totti. But Totti had like, Francesco Totti, after retiring, had like a symbolic role at Roma where he was basically like an ambassador for the club, kind of. That's what he was. And he didn't like it, and he stepped back because he said, I don't have any real responsibility. That's fine, all right, whatever. But I think he was I don't think he was a big fan of the current management, the incumbent management. It feels like when management eventually inevitably turns over, right? Because as long as Daniele De Rossi lives, he'll be like, he'll be held in high esteem and high regard by those fans. He didn't betray them. He didn't fuck them over. The one thing he has to do is not go to Lazio. Probably would never do it for obvious reasons, because it would just cause him a headache. So he'll probably always be in the good graces of the fans. So eventually when management turns over, he could come back. But now it's like, it's like, why do it the hard way? And I don't give a shit. It's not my team, okay? So I'm not crying about this personally, but it just feels viscerally wrong. Like, it creates like a real sense of malaise. There's no order in the world. Like, even fucking, if you're a Lazio fan, okay, Roma's like sworn rival, you probably don't even like this. You want the narrative to be Daniele De Rossi, who we hate, is managing Roma, who we hate. That's good. We could hate them both together. It benefits nobody. It benefits nobody. You have certain narratives that need to be upheld just for the social fabric of football in the country. So this fucking lady who's like a suit, who's been working in football, who's a career, sports management bitch, is making really like destiny altering decisions for the fate of the club. It just feels very wrong. It's like she's rewriting the story of the club that was kind of like ready to play out. He's got a long-term contract, 3 years. They're paying him regardless. You might as well let him take over the club. How bad is it going to fucking get, right? Like, how bad is he going to fuck it up, realistically? The players like playing for them. The players like playing for the club. Players like playing for him, specifically. And, he's not like some pretty boy like Totti. Like, he was a midfield general. He understands, pacing of a game, right? De Rossi didn't just work on talent. He worked on brain. So it's a good guy you would want to coach. And I get that it doesn't really mean anything, right? Andrea Pirlo just got fired by fucking Sampdoria, right? Like, what's next for him? Fucking Serie C now, right? Like, it would only go, it's only going one direction. He keeps going down and down and down in the football pyramid, and he keeps getting fired. Well, all right, fine. It's not that having a football brain on the pitch necessarily means anything or is conducive to success, but so far, De Rossi had been good. And to just have this this lady who just managed Olympiacos come in and manage it the same way. It's like, no, you don't get to do that. I'm sorry. Like, she was the director of legal and international affairs at Olympiacos. She should not be making fucking football decisions. It's not how it works. And she was the general manager at one point, which means she was overlooking the entire business operations of a fucking, of a decrepit, a Greek league club. Culturally, Olympiacos means a lot to those people. Not the same as Roma in Rome. There's like 4 or 5 big clubs in Greece. Sorry, in Athens. Just in Athens specifically. In Rome, it's 2. One of them is called Roma, the city. One is Lazio, the region. Okay? So each one is representative of a specific area, not a cultural idea. It's not like a name like Olympiacos. We're an Olympic club. We have a long-standing history of like being affiliated with this sporting club. No, we are Rome, and we are Lazio, the region at large, and there's like there's a historical twang to Roma, right? They kind of lean into the wolves and the gladiator thing. So doing this is wrong. I mean, you can't fucking do that. It feels like it should be almost truly. It feels like it should be fucking illegal, and it feels like she should lose her job because of this. Because it's like, well, how can you make a decision like that, which is so clearly bad for business? Which is so clearly bad for business. You know what I'm saying? So she didn't like the fact that he had opinions and was insubordinate, I guess. Well, it's like, well, fuck you. You know who you're dealing with. He's more valuable than you. I think he's gonna come back at some point. He'll have to. If he doesn't, it's a tragedy, dude. It's crazy if he doesn't. This is an interesting article here. So she's come under fire. Roma CEO. She's a CEO of the organization. All right. So I guess so the president is Dan Friedkin, who's some fucking billionaire. And the CEO, who I guess runs the operations day to day, is this Greek lady. Roma CEO Lina Suluku has been cast under the spotlight following the sacking of club legend Daniele De Rossi on Wednesday, and reports in Italy suggest the pair had their fair share of grievances over the summer. De Rossi was dismissed from his role as head coach of his beloved Roma on Wednesday morning following a winless start to the 2024-25 season and just one win from his last 11 competitive matches in charge. That's fair. I guess it extended into last season, but you get a clean slate, and new season, yeah, you kind of have to turn the page there. I don't really know what the relevance is in that regard. According to reports from calciomercato.com, De Rossi and Suluku had a couple of disagreements over the summer, particularly in regards to the transfer window. The coach was reportedly upset with the way the club handled the situation that saw star attacker Paulo Dybala almost move to Saudi Arabia with just a few days of the Serie A window remaining. Look, home stretch here. Here's the point, okay? Fuck the results. It doesn't matter. Like, eventually, you're going to revert to the mean. There's no way that Roma's getting relegated, okay? It's not the fucking coach's fault. I mean, it might be, actually, but it doesn't matter. You give him a chance to figure it out because he's De Rossi and because the fans love him. If the fans like the coach, you let the coach stick around. That's it. You only get rid of the coach when under fire from the fans. And even then, you often keep the coach because the fans are stupid. That's it. That's how it works. Now, look, Atalanta tied Arsenal 0-0 in the Champions League this week. Inter tied Man City 0-0 in the Champions League this week, okay? Like, that's Italian football right there. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. You just, when you're playing against big clubs, all right, who are on paper supposed to be better than you eke out results and you keep clean sheets. That's all it's about. That's fine. That is okay. That is okay. People don't need Italian football to be gung-ho new age all the time. By the way, clearly not with Ivan Juric being hired as the coach now to replace him. If you think you're going to get a fucking, a great revolution, he's had an okay couple of stretches, actually, at Hellas Verona and at Torino. But, if you think he's, I don't know. If you think that guy's going to have a career outside of Italy at any point, you're probably sorely mistaken. He might get a job in the Middle East at one point, but that guy's not going to get hired, okay, by, I don't know, Chelsea, whatever, no matter how successful he is at Roma. It would have to be crazy for that guy to get hired by a big club who, granted, are also poorly managed. It's not the best, it's not the best example, Chelsea. But just to say, like, he's not a sexy manager. He's probably not going to revolutionize the way they play. He might instill a high level of fitness and all that bullshit. Same shit he did kind of at Torino, who, by all accounts, I think had an okay season last year. He brought through a couple of good faces, right? Bellanova in particular, Ricci. But, like, bro, Ricci, who looked good in the the last international break. But it's like, it's not worth it, okay? The bar is low. All you have to do just all right is not get smoked by big teams. Like, 0-0 for an Italian club in a European competition is good. It's perfect. Beautiful. It's a low bar. You just have to be, a guy who the fans like, who they kind of embrace as a son of their own, son of the city. De Rossi was already that. He's the son of that city, like, and it's, again, it doesn't personally affect me, but it is wrong. Like, it's not the fucking smart move. Because, again, the bar is low. Just be relatively stable. Give the guy a bit of a chance to get his footing underneath him and get the players to buy into him. That's kind of half the battle. That's where Mourinho loses players now. It's where, Mourinho loses guys when he throws them under the bus. And even then, by the way, players often kind of still love him after, he's gone. Because he tends to not really do that anymore. He did it a couple times in England last time out, but he's a good receptacle for negative attention coming from other areas, right? Media, diverting it on the referee, shifting blame. Mourinho's an expert at that. You almost never want to get rid of Mourinho. There's no fucking point. There's no point. If you have Mourinho as your coach and the fans like him and the team likes him, you're winning. Keep him around. Let him stay around as long as he fucking wants. Just because it's, you're not likely going to get an uptick in results because you get some new guy who's got a new philosophy coming in. Stability. Club stability is important. You want to feel good watching your club, and you like to see a guy. There's not a person out there who's happier that Ivan Juric is now the coach at Roma who feels more confident. Okay, after 4 fucking games of a new season where they've drawn 3 games. They've gotten points in 3 out of the 4 games they've played, Again, I don't care. It's not gonna change anything. Me talking about this shit isn't gonna do anything. But it's like all Italian culture is kind of about relating to the place that you're from. And if the guy that you most like, who's from the place you're from, is no longer representing the thing you care most about, which is the football club, what are we doing here? The lady's fucking clueless. You need a guy who's got a little bit... This is where Aurelio De Laurentiis kind of gets it. This is where a guy like that, who's a little bit crazy, but who's from Naples and understands Napoli and is able to kind of manage and gaslight the people where he needs to get them on board with his ideas. Even though he gets heavily criticized a lot of the time, he knows what he can and cannot get away with. He was able to get away with, getting rid of Lorenzo Insigne, who's a guy from that city. No one really batted an eye. People were kind of sad, but they understood it. You got to frame it a certain way. You can't make it out to be a falling out between me and you, this legend of the club. If that's the case, she's cooked. So, and I don't. This woman means nothing to me. I don't care what happens to her. But she signed a death warrant. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And it's like the last thing you should be doing if you're not a guy who's familiar intimately with like the way that culture and fucking business is done in Italy. You're fucked. And she should know better because it's probably a very similar thing in Greece, in terms of having, a club legend and so on. But it's also not, because Roma's a bigger club. Italian football's a better, it's a better league. Daniele De Rossi had a bigger impact on football than any Greek player who played for Olympiacos ever, right? So, yeah, I don't know. That's it. I have nothing more to add. Thank you to the Israelis for letting me go. I'll be using my pager to tap into, my extensive network of people that like Italian football that are somehow affiliated with this podcast. And I trust that, I'm in their good graces. I'm in the good graces of the Israeli people and the Israeli Football Association at the moment. And, the fact that they thought I was a little bit wishy-washy, right? And that I thought maybe I'll support Israel, maybe I won't, based on football results. Whether they view that as a threat or not, I don't think so. I think they were great. They gave me free technology. I mean, fuck them, iPhones are going to track your location and shit. They gave me a pager. A pager's good. A pager's nice and, old school, beautiful, safe. So thank you to the Israelis. Shalom. Enjoy the weekend. We're back next week. We're going to be back with a regular weekly pod. Love you. Bye. Ciao.